Hi, everybody, and welcome back. My name's Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. So, today's tip is to not treat your house like the Powerball. So in May, no, in May of 2007, I had an interview. And so I was selling in May of 2007. I was selling speakers out of the back of my van. No, they weren't stolen. It was like this whole gimmick. We bought them wholesale import from an importer up in Elk Grove, and then we had like this whole story. And it was really entertaining, and it was me and my partner, and we did pretty well because everybody like thought we were absolutely hysterical because she and I were. I mean, we'd worked together for years at that point. We just kind of had this habit of following. Well, no, actually, she followed me to jobs. I didn't follow her to jobs. I don't think I ever followed her to a job, ironically enough. I did move in with her at one point, though. Anyways. And I mean, it wasn't like she was. Anyways. So we'd gotten into a fight. And I was like, fine, I'm going to go get a big girl job. I don't do so great with big girl jobs. I'm just not that person. I am truly that like Gen X person who, was doing random adult things like, buying cigarettes for my aunt at like 8 or 9. And then still grew up and kind of still don't know quite how to be an adult. Anyways, so I went and I applied for a job in the mortgage industry. May 2007. And I was in this Steve and Barry shirt. I don't know if you remember Steve and Barry's. I don't know if it was just a Midwest thing. But they had like these funny gimmicky t-shirts, and you could get like jeans for $5. It was really the start of fast fashion, and we just didn't realize it because it was endorsed by certain celebrities who were like, yeah, people shouldn't have to pay so much for clothes, blah, 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 blah. And so, we fell for it. Yes, I was part of the start of fast fashion because I am absolutely convinced that Stephen Barry's was like a founding member of that shit. Anyways, so I was in jeans and this shirt, like this pink shirt with blue writing that said, I'm still a virgin, but this is an old t-shirt, right? So completely unprofessional. Anyways, I'd called and the guy's like, oh, come in for an interview. I'm like, dude, I can't. I'm like, I am not ready for an interview. I'm like, I am in jeans and a t-shirt. I'm like, I am not professional. She's like, I don't care. I want to see you now. So I went and I applied. I got the job. I passed all the tests first time through. Everybody at the company was super impressed because I didn't take the class to pass the financial test. I just studied, and I'm a really good test taker. And honestly, I am actually pretty smart and decent at math. But because I have some communication challenges, sometimes I kind of come off as a ditz, and people just assume I'm stupid because I'm a girl. That's always been a popular trend in my life. I mean, heck, it used to be girls were expected to be dumber than boys. So much so we had different testing requirements to prove how smart we were. Anyways, so he hired me on the spot, got the job, was doing great. Everything was amazing, right? And then every other manager proceeded to try and hire every person who came in like ripped jeans, t-shirts all ratty, hadn't showered. And they're like, why aren't they doing what Melissa does? And the owner was like, because they're not her. It wasn't the outfit that did it. It's the factor that if this girl is brave enough to approach strangers and sell speakers out of the back of her van, she can certainly call strangers on the phone and, have them refi their homes. And here's the thing they didn't know initially is that I had a moral compass. And here's the thing that actually made me really successful in the industry when I first started. I also am kind of like a bleeding heart kind of a person. Like, I have a soft spot. So I kind of found my little niche, whatever. I always said niche, so we're going to say niche. And that was helping people refi their homes when it was a near impossible situation, and most of them had option arms. For those of you who don't know, back in the day, there was something called an option arm. An option arm had 3 different payments. There was the first payment that was the highest, and that was your principal, interest, insurance, and taxes. So like your insurance and your taxes are your escrow and everything. There was the second payment, which was a little lower, and that was your escrow and your interest. So no principal. You were just basically not negamming your home, not negatively amortizing your home. And then there was this little itty bitty low payment. And that would negam your home. And that was just a partial interest or escrow payment. So like, let's say your mortgage was like $1,200 all in, and then the interest only was going to be like, like $1,050, $1,090, right around $1,100, like between $1,050 and $1,100. And then your option arm was like something ridiculously low, like $490, $560, like a ridiculously low number, which meant that all that interest got negammed and added onto your home. And then you owed more than you had borrowed because it just kept adding on. And a lot of these people did it for like 2 to 3 years. And some of them, like their nephew, one lady, her nephew got her to do it. And granted, you should definitely read anything before you sign it, but that's a story for another day. Anyways, or a video for another day. I guess it's not much of a story. Anyways, you had all these people, and then I don't know if you remember this, but shortly after there was a housing crisis, I started noticing the pattern. And I was refinancing people, and the first thing I noticed, and this killed me, so like we'd ask several questions, like when did you buy your house, how much did you buy it for, what's your mortgage balance due, like how much do you still owe on the house, what's your current mortgage payment. And I remember I asked somebody once, and I was like, so how much did you buy your house for? $12,000. $12,000. Not 120,000. 12,000. 1, 2, 0, 0, 0. 5 figures. $12,000. That's it. 12,000. And it was in, I want to say one of the Chicago suburbs, but it could have been Chicago. And it was a decent sized house. $12,000. And they'd bought it like 40 some years ago. So why do they still have a mortgage? Are you telling me that in 40 years you couldn't figure out how to pay off $12,000? Go and try and find a new car for $12,000 now. You're going to be paying $24,000 for a new car, and you're going to have 7 years to pay it off, and then it's not going to be worth squat, and it's going to be dead. And these people had bought a house for $12,000. Now, I don't want to hear anything about how, yeah, but wages were lower, and this was lower, and that was lower. $12,000. $12,000. And so I was kind of shocked. Next question. How much is your mortgage for? $200 and some thousand. I can't remember. I was like, wow. Then they had a HELOC, a home equity, home equity line of credit. Their total was around $400,000. So instead of paying that $12,000 off, they owed $400,000 on the home they've been in for 40 years. How does that happen? Because every couple of years they refinanced. They lost their home. You know why? Because like many of the people who I tried to help, they treated their house like the Powerball. Their home lost value. All of a sudden, the market fell out. Appraisers could not find the value necessary in the home. The debt to income ratio was too high. They had problems with debt to income, so they owed more than they made. Like their total payments for the month were oftentimes 80% of their income. So that was a huge issue. Their loan to value was a huge issue. Many of these people were already hitting the upside down point. Most of them were at 90%. Mind you, $12,000. And granted, this is the most extreme case I had, but it was far from the only one. So people loved me because a lot of these people were neg-amming the crap out of their home. I got them into I got them out of the ARM, which is an adjustable rate mortgage, into a fixed rate 30-year. I wasn't taking points on the front and back like a lot of lenders did, which basically is just a way to, I mean, like some of these people, I don't even know how they got away with it because you can only typically take so much off of the front or back. And how loan originators get paid is, so let's say you refi $100,000, you're actually going to be paying like $110,000 by the time you pay the closing fees and everything, and that $10,000 is where we get our payment from. So the bank gets some, the underwriter, or not the underwriter, the I can't remember. I can think of her face, but I can't remember her title, but she dealt with like the underwriters, and she was like a processor kind of a thing, and the originators and the mortgage company and all sorts of things. So that all kind of comes out of there. But you can only take so many points on the front or the back end. So anyways, that's how they get paid. And honestly, I feel like I was worth every penny because a lot of these people would have lost their homes. They had gotten themselves into a really bad situation. Some of these people had arms and option arms that were coming due. Adjusting. They were stuck with really high rates. They couldn't get in. They had credit scores. I could go as low as, I could get people in homes in a 450 credit score as long as they had 50% down. And we only had one bank that did it. It was like 11%. If you're between like 450 and 500, it was like ridiculous, but remember the one lady got so mad because she was at like 497. She's like, it's 11%. I can't believe it. And then like the next mortgage company managed to get her down at like a reasonable rate, like 7 or 8. But her credit had bumped up from 497 to 503, and she didn't understand that like that 500 mark. But yeah, it was crazy, right? So homes were losing value. Oh, and I almost forgot. So one of the big things is there was a building company. I can't remember the name of it. I don't want to say the name just in case I get the name wrong and then, I get sued. But there was a company and they were a builder. And when they're building, they take out these builder loans on it. And then they get the home and then you have your mortgage and everything. And the builder's loan is supposed to like go away and be paid off. But they weren't. And some people had not gotten title insurance. And so they ended up owing twice as much as what they bought the house for because they had the builder's loan and their mortgage. And then there was like all sorts of lawsuits and everything. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess at that point. And then July I closed a bunch. Yeah, July I closed a ton of them. Had a great month. And then in August, everything fell off the board. Everything fell off in underwriting. Everybody met the exact qualifications they were required to. They handed in all their paperwork. I was set to make a shit ton of money that month. And it all fell out in underwriting. I had people jumping through hoops, trying to get paperwork. I managed to close one loan. And the thing is that nothing about my people changed. Their income didn't change. Their proof of income didn't change. Their house didn't change. Their appraisal didn't change. Nothing changed. Their DTI didn't change. They didn't run their credit again. Because if you're trying to buy a house, you never get like Kohl's credit card, none of that, because it'll like destroy that. And I mean, honestly, never open a store credit card. I'll do a whole video on it. But anyways, it's just, it was bad. And the thing is that it wasn't my buyers who changed per se. It wasn't my people refinancing. It was the banks that changed. All the rules changed. It was bad. And like leading up, I'd been saying something's going on. I warned my parents because they had a new house that had been built, I think by the same company. And I was like, blah, 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 make sure. And they're like, we have title insurance. It's fine. I'm like, I don't care. Double check, because all of these lawsuits are going through. It's better to make sure that you don't have any issues now. But the thing is, the thing that sucked is I went from the girl who was going to help them save their home to the girl who had to tell them they were going to lose it. I didn't necessarily have to tell them they were being foreclosed on. But when you were the last hope, when you were somebody's last hope to save their home and you have to tell them, I'm sorry. I know I said I could. I know you jumped through every hoop. But it fell out in underwriting. It's horrible. It's horrible telling somebody that. And I felt awful. But I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have felt awful because, yes, did I say I could do it? Yes. Did I believe I could do it? Yes. Should I have been able to do it? Yes. Had it been 4 to 6 weeks earlier, would those have all closed? Yes. But right around then, something changed. Everybody remember that housing crisis in 2008? It's because people treated their houses like the Powerball. Remember that $12,000 home? $12,000. If I told you right now that you could have a home and all you had to do, a nice home, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,800 square feet, half-acre yard. All you had to do was come up with $12,000. You'd do it, right? But instead, these people, every couple of years, they took out equity. So that $12,000 house, when it was worth $50,000, instead of finishing off and paying it and just being worth that, they took out money, and all of a sudden they had a $40,000 loan on the home. And then it's worth $100,000 and they have a $90,000 loan on the home. And it kept going and going and going until you owe more than your house is worth. And it destroys you. And believe it or not, a lot of these people's irresponsible choices led us to where we are today. And I'm sorry, I get it. Banks, what they did was shady as hell. I saw it happen. But people chose to treat their house like the Powerball. They took out money so that they could go to Europe. They took out money so they could buy cars. They took out money to consolidate credit card debt because they'd run up like $100,000 in credit card debt. They just kept taking out money and money and money. And the thing is, so they ran up $100,000 in credit card debt, took out a second mortgage or a home equity line of credit or refied, paid off those credit cards. And then did they cut up the credit cards? No. Did they get rid of them? No. They ran them right back up again. That's bad choices. That is a series of bad choices. And the thing is it wasn't a few people. It was a lot of people. A lot of people who made those bad choices. Cars were disappearing. People were losing homes. Now a large portion of homes are owned by private equity. We are in the situation we are in because a large portion of the population made very, very bad choices. Now, I am not saying that I have never made a bad choice. We have all made a bad choice. We have all at some point made a bad choice in our life. We have listened to the wrong people. Heck, I just saw somebody do like a thing about logic on a woman who tried to say carrots aren't food. It was like she was absolutely an idiot. I mean, brilliant in some ways, but conniving, I guess, would be a better choice. She's getting people to spend like $2,000 to come and listen to her talk, tell them carrots aren't food. Anyways, people are listening to the wrong people. People are buying from people and doing whatever. And you can blame the government. You can blame world leaders. In reality, we all kind of put us here in some way. I don't blame Gen Z. They're little still. Those ones are like, what, 26, 27? And well, some of them have had amazing success. let's face it, I'm not going to blame the teenagers and 20 somethings for what we've done to the world. And it's not necessarily even like people's fault who paid their mortgage and are responsible. But because so many people have tried for so many years to keep up with the Joneses and to be the most and to be this and to be that, we're in this debt-ridden society. So today's lesson, today's tip, don't treat your house like the Powerball. Get out of debt. Do what you can. Go without. Figure it out. Be a minimalist. I mean, people are becoming homeless at rapid rates. Like that. They're losing jobs. I could easily be one of them. I mean, for crying out loud, I have multiple disabilities. All it takes is one wrong move and my whole body gives out and I go crumbling. So stop making bad choices, please. The rich are going to keep getting richer if we keep making bad choices. And if you are one of the people who treated your house like a Powerball and everything, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if this is really harsh for you. But the number of people who I have heard about becoming homeless this weekend, as in literally they became homeless this weekend. The factor that I say people, not a person became homeless this weekend who I happened to encounter, but people. It's Memorial Day weekend. Heck, it's 4:30 in the morning. It's Memorial Day now. And people are becoming homeless. People. It's been a very emotionally overwhelming day. I didn't strangle a kid, that's good. Any of my mama bears out there, you probably would have wanted to strangle him too. Stinking bully threatened to bring a gun to school. Beat up kids that were like 3 years younger than him. Yeah. Definitely. But I was good. I didn't strangle the child. And he's not a child anymore. He's an adult who faced no consequences for his actions. That's the problem. We have no more consequences. Adults don't have consequences. Children don't have consequences. And I am not a punitive punishment kind of a person, but Jesus Christ. No consequences for their actions. I mean, some of us do. Or maybe it's just that some of us feel consequences differently. Maybe some of us like deeply internalize. Because I definitely I'm that person who still thinks about some random stupid thing I did in preschool. Yep. But Don't treat your house like the Powerball. I guess that's today's tip for frugal living. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I'm cranky. Couldn't find, I wanted to wear a t-shirt, but the t-shirt was too scratchy, and I really need like a lightweight hoodie, but I don't have a lightweight hoodie anymore. I may actually end up having to buy pajamas, like new pajamas. Everything smelled funny. I'm in my hoodie, but my hoodie doesn't feel right, so. And then I feel really bad about the factor that I have, encountered multiple people who have become homeless this weekend, and when I say I really care about people, I really do. And I mean, really, sometimes it makes me just want to like cry. I know it's like stupid and pathetic, but anyways, I guess I'll end it there. Don't treat your house like the Powerball. Anyways, again, my name's Melissa. This year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. If you want to hear more, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.